Who? 3. Is that 3? It's on air. Okay. Welcome to the Tuesday, December 3rd meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. And tonight our invocation will be led by Ms. Gwen Wright, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me?
Father God, we want to thank you for your blessings upon us, upon our city, oh God. And Lord, I want to thank you for each person who's here tonight. And Lord, as the business of this city is being conducted, Father, we just thank you, Lord, that it would be done, Lord, with love for one another, oh God, love for our fellow man, God, and love for you, Father, most of all. And Lord, we just thank you for this Christmas season. And we just ask your blessings, Lord God, and ask that we continue to just keep you and do all that which honors you here in this meeting tonight. And so in your precious name we pray, and we just thank you, O God, for all things. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby call this meeting to order. Mr. Spicer, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
McCabe.
Here.
Garcia. Garcia. Foley.
Here.
Carney.
Here. I'm here. And I wanted to thank Suzanne Davidson for filling in while I wasn't here. I was gone for 2 weeks to help babysit my 15-month-old grandson in California, and it was awesome, and I didn't miss any of y'all at all. But thank you so much for being here as I was away. Appreciate that. The first item of business is to consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda? Yes,
Mayor. Yes, I would like to add an item to new business to discuss the televising of public commentary, and I'd like for it to be the first item in new business, please.
Where is that?
Second.
Was that in the consent agenda?
No, ma'am. She's asking that the agenda be amended to add a new item under new business.
Okay. And that would be number 1 under new business.
Yes, thank you.
I have a motion to amend the agenda by adding an item to the agenda. Would you please state that? Or is there a second? Or do you need to state it first before we have a second?
Okay. Yes, I would like to add an item to discuss the televising of public commentary.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. Council, would you state that as amended? Are you supposed to state it before we vote on it?
No, we have a motion. I think that she clarified her motion properly, and it's been seconded. If there's discussion on adding that to the agenda, you can have some discussion. If not...
Is there any discussion as to adding this to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay.
The amendment to the agenda passes, Mayor. Now you will continue to consider the approval of the agenda as amended. It's my understanding that there was some discussion about agenda item number 25, which has to do with the adoption of the 2012 edition of the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code. There were some issues concerning the fees that had raised questions with regard with the board. If it's the board's pleasure, we can remove that from tonight's agenda and work that through and bring you more information so that you'll be more comfortable with it next time you see it. And so
Second.
Director Foley seconds that, and Director Garcia.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to remove item number 25 from the agenda for further study. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion on removing that? Okay.
That amendment also passes, Mayor, so now you still need to call the roll on approving the agenda as amended.
All right. Are there any other amendments before I go there, or do I do them one at a time? One at a time? Okay. All in favor of
Now you need to have a motion. I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
as amended. And is there a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, it is passed as amended. Okay. Okay, the second item of business to consider the approval of the minutes of the board meetings for the regular meeting held on November 19th and November the 12th. And I have a correction on the minutes of November 19. And it was down on the consent agenda, and it said we need just to straighten it out. It's probably just an error. Did you get that, Lance?
Which one?
It says motion was made by Director Elaine Jones and duly seconded by Director Elaine Jones.
Wow, she's everywhere.
So
Wow, she's good.
she's just doing all the work.
you only do that on adjournment. That's
Yes, when it's time to adjourn.
So I'm sure somewhere you have who that was. It's probably
Yes.
just a typo there, but we need to straighten that out for the record. Okay, all in favor of amending the minutes of the board meeting to correct that, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it is approved to correct the statement there. Okay, are there any? Help me out. We didn't approve the agenda, the minutes then, did we?
Correct, you just amended.
Okay, directors, are there any other corrections, deletions, modifications, or additions to the minutes of those meetings? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, motion is adopted. In an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items of tonight's agenda, I would remind our citizens and guests that we adhere to a 3-minute limit on your comments, and for your convenience, we will display a clock timer on the monitors above. Out of respect for all of us, we ask that you honor this request, and while members of the board may have questions of the speakers, I ask that any general comments made by the board members to do so after all speakers have been heard. We also ask that all cell phones be silenced and during the meeting and refrain from any disruptions of the meeting. And should you need to leave prior to the meeting, if your item is over and we're still going, I ask that you please do so quietly. And we really do appreciate your interest in the business of our city. We thank you for coming. I just made the statement this morning that a lot of people have no clue what's going on here, and they really don't care. And we thank you for caring. We thank you for being here and caring about what goes on in your city. At this time, do we have any guests to be recognized? I don't have anybody listed here. No guests, no proclamations. Okay, and I just wanted to say, when I came in, they were partying in the room back here without me, and they were eating cupcakes, and that's why I have chocolate all over my face. And Brian's birthday is Saturday.
And Karen's is Sunday.
And Karen's is Sunday. Yay. Wow. Congratulations.
Happy birthday.
I didn't get a cupcake.
I know, you came in the wrong way.
They're waiting on you.
I barely got one. Okay. And now we will consider our city manager's report. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
And David's is Friday.
Is it really?
Oh, it's not.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Everybody's getting so old around here.
Well, that's very true in my case.
Big one.
Yeah. Mayor and board and members of the audience, I want to take a little time and recognize our human resource manager, Minnie Lennox, and an effort that she's been working on for quite some time. We call it the Young Professionals. When I first came here, I visited with Minnie, and we talked a lot about trying to get some employee pride and teamwork and camaraderie developed here, which I think had been here strong and then kind of was lacking a little bit. And to that effort, Minnie worked with our department heads, and we began introducing really nice-looking uniforms for our employees in engineering and planning. And I think it really exudes a professional look and has helped develop some pride And I want to thank Minnie for helping to coordinate that effort. It's really turned out well.
Good job, Minnie. I've been trying to get a jacket for everybody for 10 years.
And then secondly, a little update on the Jennifer Roughton family. See Don Gooch in the audience, and he's involved in that. We've had a really tremendous outpouring of support from people in the community, many of whom are anonymous, from city employees who are giving their time and money to help this family in their time of need. We've also adopted Jennifer's son-in-law was also injured pretty seriously in that Halloween night accident, or not accident, where they prevented a drunk driver, alleged drunk driver, from barreling into just a big group of children out trick-or-treating. And the son-in-law has sustained some injuries too and has been out of work. And so we've been encouraging people to give donations so we can just cover, as a community, not just the city, there's a lot of people involved in this, we can help cover their expenses for some short-term period until they get back on their feet. Jennifer's going to have a prolonged amount of rehabilitation to get her leg back, and we're hoping that's successful. But if people want to contribute, you can contact the Malvern Bank. They have an account that is set up to help pay for medical bills. You can call Arvest Bank, or you can call my office, 321-6810, and we will try to get your money directed to whatever you would like to do to help this family, which helped this community so greatly back on Halloween night. So keep up the good work, and let's continue keeping them in our prayers.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Now we will do any of our board members have announcements concerning upcoming events? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize for being late as well. If you would like to provide input to determine how more than $300,000 in community development block grant federal funds might be spent in Hot Springs, I would like to invite you to a community meeting this Thursday at 4:30 p.m. at the Forest Lakes Clubhouse. There are more than $300,000 remaining unspent dollars from prior year's CDBG funds. And it requires input from our citizens to determine what you would prefer to see the spending of these funds. And surveys will be available for the public to complete. Michelle Sestilli will be there and speak and address your questions that you have in the area of community development. So that's 4:30 Thursday, December 3rd, Forest Lakes Clubhouse. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, and also you might mention that back on that one that they can pull that survey up online.
Yes,
on our website.
If you can't attend a meeting, they're available, a hard copy at city locations, including downstairs at the planning department, customer service, transportation depot, anyone riding the bus, or if you have access online, they've got it where you can complete it online as well.
Thank you.
On the city website.
Yes. Director Clark.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. On Saturday, December 14th, the Quapaw Prospect Neighborhood Association will be holding an evening of candlelight, and everyone is invited. It will be a luminary display. There will be thousands of luminaries placed around 350 homes. It starts at dusk, and just drive through and share all this with the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Upcoming events? Okay. At this time, we'll acknowledge that our director, Becca Clark, will be the assistant mayor for January 2014 through June 2014. We rotate those positions for assistant. I'm not sure exactly how that goes.
I'm sure
You
it's
know,
not logical.
It's not
just
logical. Somehow it rotates, and the rotation system is changing as of January, right? Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll acknowledge that the board agenda and meeting dates for January 2014 through June 2014. Do you have that adjustment there?
Yeah, it was part of the
published?
packet, yes.
But maybe we should specify what we're doing in December, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Those are different dates, right? Didn't we change those dates from Tuesday?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
It will be,
The agenda meeting will be on Monday, December the 30th, instead of the normal Tuesday.
Okay.
However, the board meeting will continue to be Tuesday, January the 7th.
okay,
That was
Tuesday.
The main change was the agenda meeting.
Okay, and it'll be on Monday at 4 o'clock
Yeah.
on the 30th, before Christmas Eve. Okay.
I mean, right after New Year's.
The 30th is after New Year's? Yeah.
You
So we
said
don't
before
Christmas.
Christmas.
Adjust Christmas Eve, do we? When is that, on the 25th every year? Okay. Like clockwork. Okay. The next item of business, the consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark,
Aye.
McCabe,
Aye.
Garcia,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
Adopted.
Okay. And now we will have a public hearing regarding the possible annexation of land known as the Cedar Glades Northwest Stairstep Enclave into the city of Hot Springs. And would you like to plead that?
If you would just declare the public hearing to be open, I think our first presentation would be from Kathy Selman.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. Ms. Selman.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director. This is a public hearing pursuant to state law that addresses situations where a city entirely surrounds a given area that is not part of the city. We have this situation with about 291 acres in the northwest area of Hot Springs, or northwest. Sorry about that. We have a number of people here from that area to talk to us tonight about the things that are important to them, about their current situation, and concerns that they may have about an annexation should it occur. This is a requirement that the state prudently provides. When a city has authority to do something, it is only right that we ask the people involved what will be the impact on them. So this is pursuant to state law, and no decision, of course, will be made at this time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have signed up for comments Donna Aker.
Hello. I was here on November the 19th. I was on the agenda for the Animal Control Advisory Committee, and I was listed as being on the committee. Then they canceled that meeting or that agenda. Then I received, so I was on the committee.
Okay.
And
we'll
then
have to wait just a moment because we're in the middle of a public hearing on an annexation.
I'm sorry, you called my name, so I apologize.
I know you're signed up here. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You probably didn't know where to sign up because there wasn't, that was on the consent agenda.
Okay.
So shall we back up just a little bit and let her speak to the consent agenda,
Mayor,
or continue going on
You've
this?
already opened the public
Yeah.
hearing. We need to conclude the public hearing. If you wish to address this issue later, you may.
We can do it after the public hearing and before we start into new business. We'll allow you 3 minutes then. Okay.
Like I said, I just heard my name, so I thought you wanted me to talk about that. So that's what I was doing.
Okay, yeah, it was signed up here on the public hearing. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
Sorry, I asked how to fill that out, and somebody told me, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, we have Michael Marzoni Sr. Yes, would you please, come up to the microphone and state your name and address?
My name is Michael Marzoni. I live at 499 Cedar Glades Road. I'm part of this annexation, which you people want to do, that I'm totally against. I retired into Garland County. I spent all my money to set myself up where I did, to retire and live there until I die. And basically, I hunt that land with a crossbow. The deer that I harvest feeds my wife and myself, because we live on a Social Security check under $900 a month. My choice, I put that out. We take care of ourselves. I have my chickens, ducks, rabbits, etc. When you incorporate me into the city, you're going to take all of that away from me. I don't know how I'm going to support myself. I have all the services you are offering me. I have trash pickup. I have police protection. I have Piney Fire Department. Everything works out fine. I have my own water. I have my own sanitary system. I don't need sewer, and I don't need water from you all. The only thing you're going to do if you annex me is you're going to take away my little corner paradise that I live in right now. And I'd like you all to think about that. If somebody came to you and was going to take away what you have, where would you be with it? At 71, do I sell my land and start all over again and move farther out where I know you can't get to me? That's all I got to say. Thank you all for...
I was just going to ask you, how many acres do you have there, and how long have you lived there?
I'm on almost 2 acres. I back up to federal land, which I understand the city has annexed, and I won't argue with that. That's neither here nor there. I've been there for about 10 years, between across the street at 498 Cedar Glades and 499 Cedar Glades.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been there for a while.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for him? Okay, thank you for coming. Appreciate that.
I'm sorry, is there a discussion period after the...
There is. I just didn't know if you had a question for a resident. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, I guess Mike Marzoni Jr. is your son. Would you please state your name and address?
I'm Mike Marzoni Jr. I live at 450 Cedar Glades across the road. I'm on 56 acres, give or take a few. We do hunt our property. My girlfriend's disabled. She's taken 2 deer in our property this year. If we go into the city, we won't be able to hunt there. That meat and our poultry and everything else we raise there would become illegal under city limit laws, and the livestock my uncle has and everything would. Everything we live on that property would be taken away from us for no benefit. I believe our constitutional rights are being violated. No one on Cedar Glades Road wants to be part of this annexation, and all I ask is that you take Cedar Glades Road off from Kevin Bird, the attorneys, down to my dad's house, and all of us go away, and the rest of the annex can go with no complaints. Thank you. Goodbye.
You. Bud Kenny.
My name is Bud Kenny. I live at 498 Cedar Glades Road. That's at the corner of Wildcat and Cedar Glades. To add to what you just heard, we will be, if you take us in, we already have our sanitation, we already have our fire and police protection, so I'm not going to bore you with all that. But, you know, once you take us in, like they said, they can't hunt, they can't do the things that we all normally do in that area. There's not that many of us. There's only 5 property owners. There's no real reason for you to have to come and annex us, because you cannot annex any further out, because you're going to be right up against the landfill. You're going to be up against Cedar Glades Park. And, of course, you have the national park. So there's nothing really to be gained other than making nice, smooth lines, which that looks good on a map, but, you know, how practical is that? I would like to read a letter to you from the majority property owner. This is Sally Wardlow and Brenda Porter. They own over 70 acres. If you drive down Cedar Glades Road, they have the property that looks like a park on the right, and they also own the property on the left. They live in Oklahoma City. This is what they wrote. Dear Sir or Madam, Sally Wardlow and Brenda Porter received the above captioned document, meaning the certified letter that we got, in the mail November 18th, and we were not informed of the August 8th, 2013 Planning Commission public hearing. We weren't either. We didn't know anything about it. So let it duly be noted that the time frame between November 18th and the scheduled meeting, December 3rd, includes the Thanksgiving holiday. Brenda Porter called Lance Spicer, assistant manager, on Thursday following the receipt of the document. Mr. Spicer was very helpful with his suggestions, and one of those being to call Gary Carnahan, city engineer, and ask him some of the questions we have regarding the proposed annexation. Although Mr. Carnahan was very helpful, we still have several questions that have not been answered to our satisfaction, i.e. when we could expect city water hookup, cost of services, including sanitation, fire, police, and especially zoning requirements. The property we own has been in our family for over 70 years, and as one of the largest landowners in the proposed annexation, we respectfully request an extension of time due to the very short notification we received and the fact that the landowners both live in Oklahoma City and did not have sufficient time to prepare for a trip to Hot Springs to attend the meeting. This board has said in the past, not necessarily you, all of you, because this is in the past, but you have said in the past that you would not engage in hostile annexation. That is exactly what this will be. If you bully us into the city, you're going to be going back on your word. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kevin Bird.
Afternoon. Kevin Bird, I live at 332 Cedar Glade Road. I don't know if you're familiar with the property or not, but as soon as you come over the mountain, it's the old McMath homestead. I've often said I've got probably the best piece of real estate in the state of Arkansas. My front yard is a national park. National park borders me to the left. Behind me is the city waterworks, so I've got 3 private lakes, although I'm not supposed to swim or fish back there. It's just a gorgeous piece of property, and my nearest neighbor's over a quarter mile down the road. Normally, when you live that rural, it takes about an hour to get into town, and it's really inconvenient. Well, I can drive just over the mountain, and I'm right at the fountain, 1.1 mile from my driveway. It's a beautiful piece of property. But because I'm so rural out there, I can hunt on my property. I get to shoot my guns on my property. We got a big stump where my son and I do our target shooting. And what makes my property unique and valuable and what I enjoy most about it, I would lose if I was incorporated into the city, because they don't let you discharge firearms inside the city for understandable reasons. You know, I've been there for over, I guess, 21 years now. And the one thing that I just love about Hot Springs is really it's the people. And I wouldn't mind being in the city if I didn't have to be in the city. There's just something about if I paint my house that I have to ask permission or apply or pay a fee to get it done that really doesn't set well with me, which is probably why I moved in the county to begin with. And to me, being annexed, I understand there's a lot of times the city has to do what a few don't like for the benefit of the majority. And sometimes that is necessary. And when you look at the map, you would think, well, gosh, they're all surrounded. But when you really look at that map, everything around us is woods. There's really nothing out there. And when you talk about efficiency of city services, and certainly when you drive down the road and you're in the city and the county and the city and the county and the city, you want to smooth that out. But when you look at that map, us 5 property owners, to pick up our trash, you're going to have to drive over the mountain, service us 5, turn around at Wildcat Road and come back over the mountain. It's inefficient and downright hazardous, and there's really no benefit from my standpoint to being annexed into the city, but my property loses, to me, the most valuable thing about it, which is even though I'm close to town, I'm way out in the county. And I love that aspect, and I ask you to not take that away from us. And from an efficiency standpoint, if it sticks in somebody's craw that there's a jagged line, well, if you'll sell me that little piece of land at the end of Wildcat Road, then we won't be encircled anymore, and whoever's upset about a jagged line can sleep easy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
You know, and I guess to me, the analogy, it's sort of like having an obnoxious brother-in-law come and move in on my couch. He's not going to help me pay for anything, but I'm going to have to listen to his opinion on everything I do. Mm-hmm. That's from my perspective.
That's good. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. And,
all right. Anybody have any questions?
I do have a question about your last comment about that little piece of property where we would not then have an enclave.
Sure.
Which one is that? I don't understand.
Right at the end, you see where
on the right-hand side?
Well, I guess it'd be on the left-hand side, okay, where it goes out there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, right down there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what piece of property would open that up so it would not be an enclave?
Well, I'd buy the whole thing if you want to sell it.
Is it city property?
Is that city property?
From the Cedar Glades Park thing?
A portion of that is federal property, but it depends on if he's talking about on the left-hand side of Wildcat there on the eastern portion. It would have to be a pretty interesting real estate transaction, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, and George Pritchett.
As long as I'm left-handed, it's from Western left.
George Pritchett, 210 Carl Drive. In 10 years or so I've been in Hot Springs, it's been the policy of this city not to force annexation on anyone. These property owners have spoken to you and asked you not to annex them. That's what you should do. The city has followed a policy in the past of forced annexation on businesses by blackmailing them with water and sewer. We've stopped that policy also. That was wrong. It would be a travesty of justice to annex these people. And folks, I don't have a dog in the hunt, but it wouldn't be right if you did it. Thank you.
That is the end of our public.
Is there any discussion from the board
discussion
before we close the public hearing? Once the public hearing is over, we'll move to the next item of business.
Can we ask a question? Did this come about because it was an enclave?
Yes, the only reason this issue is before you tonight, and by the way, this is just a public hearing. There's no action presented to the board tonight for you to take a vote on. This is part of the process to get the public's input. I think this was valuable input that you received tonight in making a decision whether to go forward or not. But yes, this is an enclave, and with recent legislation that was passed at the General Assembly this past session and discussions with the county judge, it was our objective to try to clear up some of the enclaves. This is the last enclave. There was one on Fontana. There was one on Central Avenue, others that we have been dealing with along the way. This is the last one, and this is the reason it's the last one to come to you. It's not something that that necessarily favors the city, and apparently it doesn't favor the residents of that area. And so it's the board's purview as to whether or not you want staff to come back later with a proposed ordinance to annex the property or not. This at the end of tonight's public hearing, you can make that known through the city manager whether or not this is something you want to come back to the board at a future meeting or not.
I know this sounds naive, but once people are annexed into the city, they are no longer able to keep their livelihood like farm animals and things like that?
No, the livestock issues, there are limitations. The examples that I heard tonight would not be prohibited inside the city limits. However, as Mr. Byrd indicated, discharge of firearms is prohibited.
Okay.
Hunting.
And in addition, if we tried to solve this with them, but only annexed part of it, we would then technically be creating another enclave.
Yes,
so we would be prohibited from doing
you
anything
are prohibited by law to take in any of this property by ordinance and thereby create an enclave.
All right, thank you.
If one of the property owners wanted to come in voluntarily, you can create an enclave. The law does not prohibit the creation of an enclave with voluntary annexation, but you cannot take it in by ordinance and in the process create another enclave.
Okay. So if this is not addressed, we can bring it up at any time in the future if the city is
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have one comment. If they just took Cedar Glades Road off from Kevin Bird's house to my father's house, all this goes away and the whole rest of the shaded area isn't contested at all. And there's just, we haven't created an enclave, we've just allowed a small park. We're all old, 20 years we'll be dead, you can have 10.
I'm not sure we want it. Thank you, sir. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Since this was enacted in the last state legislature, what are the ramifications if we do not, are we not following the law if we choose not to annex this?
No, we are not mandated to close existing enclaves. After the legislative session concluded and the amendments were made with respect to elections and taking in property by ordinance and the enclave language that was added to that legislation, there were discussions with the county judge about future voluntaries, and in the course of those conversations, he requested that we take a look at some of the existing enclaves to clean those up in order to, as the gentleman indicated, to kind of shore up our boundaries, make it look more logical, not have duplication of services, efficiency of services. And so that's why these enclaves have been coming to you. But this is the last one that was of that nature. You do have one coming up on Higdon Ferry because an enclave was created with the annexation of Forest Lakes. But this was the only existing one that was left to deal with, and it's problematic for the city. It's problematic for the residents.
The resident.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just a public hearing so that we could hear you and hear what you have to say about your own property. And it's for you to have that opportunity to tell us. And I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much. Okay. Any other discussion about this? Okay, that will be the end of our public hearing. And before we go to the next...
You're gonna close it.
Oh, here. Hammer. It's closed, the public hearing. And before we go on to the next item of business, I will allow Donna Aker to come and... You have the timer?
Yes.
And you may speak with us, Donna.
Hi, my name is Donna Carr, and I was listed as being on the agenda on the committee for Animal Control Advisory Committee, November the 19th. I was on the actual agenda. I arrived, and there was nobody else here that was supposed to be on that agenda for the committee. I was the only one that showed up. And I was looking around the room, where's everybody at? Nobody was here. And then I received a letter November the 21st, stamped at 2 p.m., stating that I was not selected as being on the committee, but November the 19th, I was on the committee. It's kind of confusing. I don't understand how that could occur. And I read on the internet there was a vote 6-0 for that. It was a voice vote. And I was trying to understand why that happened. First thing I'd like to say, if you have been misinformed about me as a person, if I have done something wrong, which I know I have not, I would like that to be, I'm the type of person, if I've done something wrong, I will tell you. If you've done something wrong, I have no problem telling you, but it's not what you say, it's how you say it. I'm a true believer in that. But this is my thoughts on the animal situation. I think that's why the committee changed their mind. My thoughts on public safety is, number one, I feel that any aggressive animal should be put down, no matter what kind it is. There are a lot of laws about breeders that need to be changed, a lot more laws added to prevent the pit bulls from being overpopulated, fighting, and all of that. Yes, I have a rescued pit bull. And yes, a few years ago, I was out in the street across the road, pit bull was loose, and it ran to me while the pound was trying to get it with its head between his legs and almost right between my legs and just laid there at my feet, and it crushed me. I went to the pound, took photos, did everything I could to try to find its owner, to no avail. But now I have a rescued one, and I am not a pit bull advocate, so I don't know what you've heard, but it makes me very emotional because I know I am good with people, I'm good with animals, and I'm a very fair person on both sides. And I don't know what happened or who you spoke with, and it makes me very emotional about it. Because I know what I believe, and I know I could do things that are good for the city. I say animal safety is number one. I've done foster care, animal rescue, you name it, I've done it. I've always given to myself to the best of my ability. I'm not perfect, but I mean, if there's any way that somebody could really think about putting me on that committee, I know I would do a dang good job, and you would not regret it.
Hey, I'll let our
So I would like to know at
attorney
least.
address it.
I'm totally lost on this.
Sure, I'll try.
I'm totally. I mean, how can you be on it and then not be? And I'm not a troublemaker by any means. I promise you. I'm just.
Okay.
How can somebody who gives so much?
Okay. Our attorney
that
will address
happen?
the
I'll try to alleviate.
Okay.
I'll try to alleviate your confusion about what transpired. That committee was actually appointed tonight. It wasn't on. It wasn't.
Well,
on,
it was November the 19th, actually, on the
yes,
agenda.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was on the agenda for November the 19th. That agenda was amended, just like tonight's agenda was amended. Things are taken off, things are added. So that item was not up for vote or discussion by the board on November the 19th. It was up for tonight on consent agenda, and those representatives were appointed tonight.
Okay.
So if your confusion was you were on the committee, you were never on the committee. You were in a proposed resolution on an agenda of the November 19th meeting,
Okay,
which was
but
never
what,
voted on.
I would like to know what had happened. I mean, out of respect, I'm not being disrespectful, and I promise you, swear to God, I'm not. But I mean, I'm having a hard time sleeping because I'm thinking I've done something wrong, and what have I done? Nothing.
Were there a number that we had on?
I know I'm a good person. I know that without
I mean,
a doubt.
I don't know. I don't know if this is the particular forum to even discuss this.
Mayor,
Yes,
could you ask the city manager to have the appropriate city staff to schedule a meeting with Donna Akar to discuss this
Yes, I
item?
can. And my question was, on many of those committees, we're limited to choosing 1, 2, or 3 according to the vacancy seats. And I think we had several that we had to interview that we could only choose 2 or 3. And I thought maybe that was one of those, because I know we had several names on some of them, and we had to interview all of them, but choose for the vacancy. So I wasn't sure if that was one of those.
I did check that, Mayor, about what you just said. It was the same people that are on the agenda tonight were on the agenda on the 19th. So it wasn't any taken away or added. It's the same amount of people and exact people. So I was thinking that too.
I think Director Garcia's recommendation is a sound one. I don't really want to get into a discussion about why somebody was recommended and why somebody wasn't. Be glad to do that with you in my office.
Okay.
And
I'd
so
really like
I would
that.
suggest that you leave your phone number with Bill, and we will contact you, and I'll be glad to discuss it with you.
I really would appreciate that. It'll make me ease my mind or something, because, like I say, I know I'm not perfect, but I'm a good person.
Okay. So just leave your number with him.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. The next item of business, and I don't know how to, it's not
Next
under a
item,
number.
right? It was not assigned a number. It's the first item under new business will be a discussion regarding the televising of public commentary.
Okay, now how do we do that too, since it wasn't published and it wasn't in our packet? Do we have a sign-up? We didn't have a sign-up.
We haven't had discussion yet. If there are
I know,
people
but
who,
I'm just asking how we go by it.
if the chair wants to recognize someone who wants to speak to the issue after it's had discussion,
Yeah, all I'm
you're
saying, it
certainly-
wasn't in the
You're
agenda
certainly
packet.
permitted to do that. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
We had the same issue, I think, while you were gone, where something was changed and added to the agenda, and since it had not been posted and no news alert about it, then we asked people to.
Speak into your mic.
The same issue came up while you were absent, and there was a new item posted to the new business, first item, and we had the same situation, and so we asked if there were people in the audience and allowed them to speak.
Okay.
With the same limits.
Okay. So do we have a staff person on this? Would you be the staff person?
I assume that Director Clark wanted to initiate the discussion. She's the one that raised the issue.
Yes. In light of what's gone on and the decision made in the recent lawsuit, I thought it would be good if you could bring us all up to date, Mr. Albright.
Sure.
Where we are with this.
Yeah. Mayor, as the board's aware, and perhaps some of the public is aware as well, last week we received a ruling from Judge Ted Capehart in connection with the lawsuit that was brought by citizens concerning the way in which public commentary was televised or not televised. That order has been entered as of yesterday, December the 2nd. And pursuant to the court's ruling, and I'll just read it to you verbatim, the defendants must vote in public at a regular meeting if they wish to terminate the televising of the public commentary sessions. So I think that's the issue that Director Clark would like for the board to discuss, whether or not you are or are not going to televise the public commentary.
Okay. So do we open it up to the floor first, as we do on the other items, and then we open it up to the directors? I've just never had one added like this, because usually we have things on the agenda that we have published in the newspaper and people are aware of that we're discussing. So that's the only, since I've been here in 3 years, we've never added it.
Sure we have.
It happened while you were gone.
While I'm gone.
but right now there's not anything on the floor. There's not a motion or a second.
Okay, there's no motion or
She
second.
has opened up the issue for discussion. If someone wishes to make a motion and then there is a second, then you can have discussion on a motion. What she has asked is for me to update you on what transpired in court.
Okay, so with that, do we have anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this?
Mayor, there's nothing on the floor to discuss. I'm saying if there is a motion and a second for an issue to have discussion, then you can open up the floor.
Okay. Okay. Do we have a motion to open up discussion?
Well, you have to have a motion to do something. Is there a motion to do anything? If there's not, then we'll move to the next agenda item.
It's just kind of awkward. Okay, do you have a motion to do anything?
So do we need to make a motion to suspend televising the meeting, to change it, or do we need to adopt?
The court's order is that if you want to cease televising public commentary, you must vote to do so in a regular public meeting. If you do not do so, public commentary will be televised tonight.
I'll make a motion then. I move that the city's business be televised from when the gavel is struck to start the meeting to when the gavel is struck to end the meeting.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to...
Motion and a second to, and I'm going to try to paraphrase, I think, for television broadcast to only be gavel to gavel. Okay.
Yes.
The actual business meeting, gavel to gavel.
But actually what we're talking about is the televised public comment section. So to word it properly, you would say to not televise the public comments.
To not televise the activities prior, including the prayer, or the public commentary.
Okay. So the motion is gavel to gavel coverage.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not real sure of the exactly what we're doing, because we're doing it also without letting the public know what we're doing again, other than the ones that are just right here. It wasn't advertised in the newspaper that we were going to do this. It wasn't put on the agenda packet that's online. It wasn't published in any place that we're going to make decisions on this tonight. And I think that's extremely unfair. So I'm not sure what the legal consequences are. You're the one in charge of that, but I'm pretty upset.
Well,
I don't think we
Mayor,
should be doing it like this. I think we should have everybody at least informed as to the actions that we're going to do. It's just not fair for the public to pull something and put it on. In fact, I think the rules are that I can arrange the agenda, and I was here for an agenda meeting earlier and none of this came up. So that even takes my position as putting things on the agenda completely away also. And I don't think that's actually fair either.
I thought we was doing what the judge ordered. We can do this according to the law.
So we should have had it on this agenda in the packet, advertised in the newspaper, also on our website, so that citizens would know that we're doing this. I just don't. So what shall I do? Recuse myself completely?
I understand it was posted on something today, Hot Springs Daily or something like that.
I don't Did you post anything for the public to know that we're making this decision without advertising it?
I don't know of it being posted anywhere, but certainly, Mayor, things are added and taken away from the agenda quite frequently. And
from the agenda, but we have an agenda meeting a week before that I go over every item on the agenda with you or with Mr. Watkins, and at that time we can decide whether or not it's going to be put on the agenda that comes out to the people. That is also put in the newspaper. It is put online, and it is distributed so that our citizens can know what we're doing, and it's not pulling something on them without them having the information up front. And I am totally against this.
Did you not read that letter from the...
The letter is completely different than adding an item to the agenda on the spur of the moment without advertising.
This letter, the judge's decision was posted in the newspaper while you were away.
But our decision to vote on it was not.
This is not a resolution or an ordinance.
No.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I think it's people watching television right now are already calling in. They're calling in.
We should turn our phone
So, I just, at this point, I will resign my post for tonight. Because I'm totally against it. And arrest me, somebody. I just don't think it's fair to our citizens not to publish what we're going to do in a public meeting. I just don't think it's fair.
I understand your point, but the newspaper
Director Garcia,
article...
are you in agreement or not?
You get that at the vote.
Well, when it opens up for discussion, I'll make comments.
Yeah.
All right. It's open for discussion. There was a motion and a second. It's open for discussion.
You going to let the citizens speak first?
I don't know. I've been here almost 4 years, and this is the first time it's happened. And you say we take them off and on, but they always have been published pre-agenda and pre-board meeting before we do things like this. So it's my first experience with this. That's why I don't know how to handle it. We will open it up to the public. Anybody have anything they want to say for 3 minutes?
Mayor Carney, I'd like to speak to the issue, but I'd like to hear from the directors first because I don't know who to address with my questions because I don't know what the feelings of the board are. I read the agenda. A few weeks ago I read the agenda and went to your budget meeting that you didn't hold that day either because no one bothered to announce it to the public that it had changed. I showed up. Now here tonight, I'm showing up here not expecting this to be coming before this board. I prepared a whole thing at my home that I would bring to this board when I knew you were going to address this subject, but I did not know. And at 4 o'clock this afternoon, I was still working. So I have to tell you, I didn't have trouble to check time to check between 4 and 6 to find out what the board is going to throw at us.
It wasn't on there. It was thrown at us tonight. It wasn't on any publicized place.
I didn't go check the website again after 4 o'clock, which is my lifeline to what this board is doing.
Okay, well, you want to come up.
Lastly, I want to point out that before I can ask questions, I need to know what the various board members feel so I can address them with my questions.
Okay. Well, we're open for comments now, and then we will open it up for the board members to speak there. That's the way the system goes, okay? So if you have a comment for it, please come forward, state your name, your address, and a 3-minute comment.
George Pritchett, 210 Carl Drive. I again point out that I want to reserve my right to question this board after you all have discussed it so I know what each of you all believe. I want to know which ones of you believe in free speech. If we're just going to be ruled as a communist society, that you're going to stand up and say, Mr. Pritchett, we disagree with you, so let's get rid of this public comment section, because I've stood out here and I spoke to you all many times and complimented your actions. And there's many actions that you take that are very, very good. This time, I happened to say something. It was all about the school deal. Everybody knows I started this. It's my understanding from others. Director Foley objected, and the war was on. Now, we've spent a lot of money, the plaintiffs and also the city. And we're going to be back in court spending more money over an issue that people fought 2 or 3 years ago to get a public comment section that was televised. And we'll argue that television wasn't mentioned. Our meetings had always been televised, people. It was just thought that that would be the case. And I know what assume means. I know how you can divide that word up, and that's what we perhaps did. But at this time, I can't ask anybody a question because I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know which of you members may support the public comment section and you that don't. I would like to reserve the right to do that after I can see how you feel. Stand up, speak your piece, say, I don't want you all to speak on television because you might say something that I don't like, and we need to quiet you and effectively quiet you. And if you eliminate the public comment section and quiet the public, you've gained nothing because you've lost the confidence of the public. Do people think that I'm crazy? You know, you call me crazy, George, and we all do it affectionately. I had people call me this week after that came out in the paper and said, y'all won. I said, no, we won a hollow victory. I said, we won a hollow victory. We wasted the money of the city of Hot Springs to fight over something because I stood up and said, please don't support something. Now, I stood up tonight and said, please don't annex this. These people don't want it. And I'll stand up again, but I'll stand here and fight for each and every one of you when I think you're right. Now, I don't carry a lot of weight in the community. People don't necessarily listen to me, but I'm stopped on the street. My email was lit up. My phone was lit up this week. Y'all won. I said, it's a hollow victory, people. We won, but why did we have to have a fight over something so simple when I only said, please don't take a position, don't support this. It's not good for the poor in our community. Now, that's all we're talking about. And we've gone downhill. Sure, Dan Lewin stood up here and talked about Oaklawn, and we've talked about a lot of things different people have. But no one has been hurt by this. The people at the community college couldn't even garner enough votes from their own faculty and students to win that election. And I darn sure didn't generate enough to defeat them if they had all showed up. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens that would like to speak to the issue?
I'm reluctant to speak. I'm Bob Jiggers, very reluctant to speak in view of the fact the way this is being handled. I think it's totally inappropriate. Had an attorney type just got through telling me the mayor could declare this entire motion out of order since it was taken this way. But I don't know. You've got your own attorney present. I think there's no question that the board violated the state opens meetings law. The court found that. You can go to the circuit court and ask for case CV 2013-78. Read it for yourself. See what these directors did. For example, the board used an informal decision to stop televising the public comments. That's the same as saying it's basically a secret decision. Most of us didn't know until after they had been taken away. But worse, the city taxpayers are going to have to pay for the board's recalcitrance, stubbornness. Now, facts from that public record from the case, and all claims were stipulated as factual rather than have a hearing. And Mr. Pritchett did make some comments which, following Mr. Foley, Director Foley, stated we should not allow this to be televised because it could destroy the community college. That's squelching free speech, people. I didn't agree with what he said, but I certainly defend his right to say it. And at the board retreat the following weekend, it was said the citizens were using the comment section as a bully pulpit. In an email then that we have from Director Davidson to the mayor and city manager, she even called the public comment section a bully pulpit and stated these kind of erroneous and derogatory comments need to be immediately nipped, condemned, and requested to be retracted, and it needs to be done by you, speaking about the city manager and the mayor. So apparently, Director Davidson, you have very little concern about the First Amendment rights, or the U.S. Constitution, or the state freedom of information laws. She continued by saying, we cannot not allow these kind of misinformed rumors and derogatory tactics to affect public opinion. Well, I'd encourage you, like I say, go to the circuit clerk's office. Just see how deep these two directors on each end of the horseshoe here are in wanting to quelch public speech. So I think today's editorial or letter to the editor says it really good. The directors should explain just which ones of them thought it was a good idea to stonewall the citizens' simple request to follow state law and to ratify their retreat decision. So you're ready to ratify tonight, a decision you made in secret. I don't think that's illegal, folks.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, now discussion from the board.
I'd like to ask the city attorney, who says we have to have this whole meeting televised in the first place?
Are you asking if you are required to televise?
Yes.
You are not required to televise.
Okay. Maybe I could get my raise if we drop that. I could get some money.
If people didn't know what you were saying.
They know.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to say for the record that I remember our board retreat earlier this year, and I clearly recall there was not a vote taken regarding televising the public commentary of the board meetings. There was, however, a discussion. As a member of the city board, and I believe the board as an entire group always wants to encourage participation of our taxpayers and our ratepayers in our city government. It's my opinion that the board should not take action to discourage residents from speaking to the board or participating in our local government. I'm a proponent of open, honest, and transparent government. I don't think the city government wants to silence speakers. I don't think speakers should be silenced on the basis of their viewpoints or their content of their speech. We should treat speakers the same. And whether or not a public commentary is televised does not impede the citizens' freedom of speech. I have, however, received citizen feedback regarding the non-televising because it, from one citizen's quote, was it prevented the public from hearing public comments on public issues at a public meeting. I have heard this from seniors who are not able to attend our meetings and wanted to watch our meetings on television. So the question to me is, what is the best interest overall for Hot Springs, for all of our citizens, regardless of what the message is, whether we agree or not agree? And if any portion of our meeting is televised, should it all be televised?
Thank you. Other comments?
Yes, I'm glad Mr. Driggers brought that up. First of all, in reading the judge's decision, we were not at Brady Mountain Lodge. We were at the Army Corps of Engineers site. There was not a vote, and it was posted with a press release to the newspaper, because I do know of one person who told me that he was going to attend the meeting, but he decided he didn't want to drive that far. So it was a work session, and I can't help but wonder if there's a misunderstanding of the city manager form of government. Secondly, my email had nothing to do with televising or not televising public commentary. I have served on boards. I have been the one who has pulled the button to stop somebody speaking at public commentary sessions, but I have never attended a board meeting, whether school board, city council, any kind of commission, where people were allowed to publicly make derogatory remarks directed at directors, commissioners, board seats, and that usually when the attacks get personal, they're gavelled. And that's what the comments were about. It had nothing to do with televising or not, because I'm all for the commentary. And frankly, when I came on the board, I was surprised it was limited to 7. Because I've presided over meetings where we had as many as 10 or 15. Thank you. And I too want the public commentary. That's not the issue. But if it's not about city business, they have the right to speak. Go ahead.
pretty much just say the same thing. I believe in transparency in government. I love hearing everybody come in and comment, and more participation is better in my view. What the part that we televise should be the city government, the city business part that everybody sees. The people that come in can comment. They can say things about people who have no chance to rebut it, who may never even know that it was said, while everybody's out seeing it all over the county on the television. So I just think in the interest of fairness to everybody, that we should have people come in and talk, obviously like we did tonight. If it's something that is directly appropriate to the comment, to what's going on, to the city business, fine. You comment, you're televised. Then you can talk about anything else that you want to afterwards, but that's not part of our city business meeting. We don't respond to it. We don't act on it. It's not part of city business.
Okay. I really feel that we are here for the people, by the people, and our job is to allow opinions that are maybe contrary to our own. And the freedom of speech is that I don't have to agree with what you say. And I had our IT guy to run 1 year's worth of public comments. I put a CD in all of your boxes of 1 year's worth of public comments, and several of you refused to take them, so you didn't even watch it. But for 1 solid year, the public comment section did not contain any inappropriate language or speech or anything wrong. They were opinions about our city, maybe not what was on the agenda that night, but they were opinions and thoughts that they had about our city as far as wanting a restaurant down at the depot. Those are things that if we really are here for our citizens, we need to hear that. If they want a restaurant or a porta potty at the depot, why not have that on television so everybody can say, oh, well, that's not a bad idea. It didn't have anything to do with the agenda that night, but it was about our city. And if you would like to see 1 year's worth of public televised comments, we have a CD that will prove to you that none of those statements for 1 solid year were out of order. Now, we can go back and do it for 3 years. I've been here that long. So we can go back and let you listen to 3 years of public comment and tell me or show me one time when anyone was out of order. They state opinions. They state their thoughts. They state maybe it's opposite of what we think or believe. We don't have to make a motion or vote on anything that they say, but at least we can hear the citizens of our community. And we are here not because we want to say everything and we want to be heard. We are here to represent the people. And when we stop representing those people, we shouldn't be sitting up here. When we're just concerned about our own concerns and not theirs and what they have to say, we shouldn't be here. I think we should give everyone a chance to be heard, not just to speak, but to be heard. And there are a lot of people sitting at home that listen to that, and I've gotten a lot of those comments from older people who do not come and watch it every week. And that's my comment. Yes, ma'am, please.
Drew Terry from 315 Autumn Ridge Circle. I think I made the same plea last spring, where I said my father had been in World War II. My husband was in the Army. And it seems like we just keep chipping away at freedoms, and I mean little freedoms. It's always the little things that begin to spoil. And so I really think you need to consider people that have fought and given their lives for the freedom that we have. And we appreciate what God has given us, and why would we want to tear any of it down? So I too want to just say, I believe for the little man who maybe can't get out of the house, who would like to listen to everything, that it would be an advantage. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of you have other comments?
I have
Just
a question.
Yes.
for the city attorney, we are required to address this under the court's order, correct?
If you do not address it, it will be televised.
Okay, thank you.
So, no, you're not required to address it, but it will be televised. In order for us to be in compliance with the court order, I don't want anybody to be held in contempt here.
Right.
He
That's
said,
what I'm asking.
He said if you want to not televise it, you must vote in public at a regular meeting.
Okay. You know, for the benefit of the public, I will make my position clear. I have been characterized as causing this brouhaha from comments that we received after a meeting regarding a voting issue, and I did say that, in my opinion, those comments were inappropriate given the fact that the people who they spoke about were not here to defend themselves. From my perspective, we invite the public to help in the decision-making process here during a business meeting. This is a business meeting.
It is.
And we try to listen to them after. That is not the business meeting. We get input for future decisions from those comments. So I see the responsibility that we have informing the public as being different from the business meeting where we invite the public to participate in the decisions before we make them, and those after the meeting where we seek further input about issues that concern them. My concern with having the commentary period after the meeting, after the business meeting, televised, is there are people who get up and say things about organizations and people, even in an off-the-cuff remark, and those people, number one, don't know that an issue is coming up. Number two, they are not here to defend themselves. And three, for the rest of the community, there are comments made that really are presented as being part of gospel when in fact they are not the truth. There are a lot of erroneous comments made in the public commentary period, and I think it does a disservice to the community to let those go unchallenged. So I think the easiest way is to invite the public, and I think the more we have at the meetings where we are making decisions, the better off we are as a community. But I also think we hurt the community by letting comments being made that are untruthful or inaccurate in a venue that sort of represents the city's position, and I think that's just not accurate. So, I mean, I support the decision as it's the motion as it's presented.
I think there is some confusion, or perhaps this morphed into something beyond. The judge did not rule that so much regarding whether we should or shouldn't televise. He ruled that, at least in his opinion, a vote was taken at the retreat that needed to be ratified at a regular meeting. We heard from at least two directors here who indicated there was no vote. But somehow there was some testimony that made it appear that there was a vote. There were no minutes of the meeting. We didn't come back to this chamber and approve minutes. There were other matters that were discussed at that meeting because that was a budget work session goal setting where we had goals on big sheets of paper around the room. We didn't come back the next meeting and approve those. But apparently somehow, and I'm not not questioning the judge's decision, somehow he made a determination that there was a vote taken versus just some consensus. We had a work session within the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, at the fire department regarding our future water source options. And we gave directives to the city manager and staff to proceed. I don't know if that's any different than what we did at, 8-9 months ago. I guess we ought to maybe write that up and approve that tonight as an action item. I didn't consider it as a motion and something that would need to be ratified, but I guess I don't know where we stand at times when we have work sessions and have whether we go around the room and ask for people's opinion on something and and have an informal or formal, whatever, consensus taking, and whether that requires a vote. I'm all in favor of supporting the judge's decision through an action tonight to ratify what he is determining to be a decision made during that retreat. And, and if the vote's one way or the other, I can support that. But, I think we're getting wrapped up whether or not this should be whether the public comment should be televised or not. I think it's actually a bigger issue than that. It's, at what point do we have work sessions, and what items come out of that work session that need to be ratified? Because I don't know. Because I think we have work sessions throughout that we give directives or suggestions to move forward and proceed and keep working something up and coming back and give us updates, and maybe we need to be acting on those items.
Okay. George, 1.5 minutes.
When he back?
To make it short, I agree entirely with what Director McCabe said. The difference in this situation is that you had a work session, and at the next meeting you cut off the public comment section. Without public hearings, without notification, it was cut off. You stopped televising it. Now, if you go back, I've never said, I don't think any one of you on this board or any prior board can find anything derogatory that I've ever said about any individual on this board. I respect each and every one of you. I also respect your right to disagree with my views, and ask that you do also to disagree with, that I can disagree with yours. But I do want to point out that that night and what was said, I have statistics to back up anything I said. I have right off the internet, right from the state of Arkansas, from the people that keep track of the numbers for the college and how much money spent, et cetera. There's nothing bogus about it. It wasn't off the cuff. I often get calls from people to ask me to come and talk about something in front of this board, and I bring issues up that I really don't have a dog in the hunt, as I said earlier, and I'll be up here with others, because I don't. But I think what's right for people, and I don't mind standing up and speaking for people that don't come up here and speak themselves.
Okay.
I made a request. I used the word ask you not to support that.
All right.
That's all I did. Thank you.
Okay. And I just want to say, all of this voting for this in public is fine. My issue is that you bring it up not on agenda, not publicized, not with the people of our city aware of what you're going to vote on, and it's something with this magnitude, and it seems like the fear is that we might have it on television tonight if we don't do it now, and that just blows my mind. We're so afraid of what somebody might hear, or we're afraid of, I don't know what our fear is, but it's fear-based. I think the whole thing is fear-based. And I think our people deserve having the information. They deserve have it printed. They deserve having the notice that we're going to have this on our agenda.
I don't fear nothing. You're going to have to speak for yourself on that one. I have always believed that if something is on the agenda, period, that is where that person should talk about it. I have never liked that commentary coming up after the meeting, because then whatever we're thinking from board meeting, we have to listen to some other stuff. Put it on the agenda, whomever want to speak, and let them come before us and be heard.
And at many times that has been taken off the agenda, and the only place they can be heard is in the public comment section after they have been removed from the agenda, and that's happened several times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mayor, can I just make a comment? Because both of you and Director Foley, this all ties in together. I think we got to get back to why we offer the public commentary. It was because there are items that are of interest to citizens that aren't appropriate or won't get on the agenda because it doesn't necessarily take an action item, but they want to be heard because of an issue. And so we provide that as a forum for them to communicate to us as directors. And that's the key, for them to communicate to us as elected decision makers, so we can gain their input, and then we can direct staff after the meeting. I mean, their comments don't go unheard, and we will oftentimes direct staff to follow up on those things. And so, again, it's the communication between the citizen at the podium to us. It's not an opportunity for the citizen to make a speech to the general public at large that doesn't have the ability to make the decision. We're the decision-making body, and we're very willing and able to listen to the public input, direct staff to proceed and provide some assistance, and we'll follow up on that. And if need be, if we have to alter the budget and things like that, we can come back and alter the budget so more resources can be allocated in those areas of interest. But that's what the public comment was for. It wasn't to allow an opportunity to promote an issue through many airways. They can write letters to the editor. They can go door to door. They can do whatever. But it was to give us the input.
But it was also a courtesy to those who cannot come to the meetings, who are concerned and do watch it every week. I am amazed at how many people actually watch it every week. I meet older people in restaurants and grocery stores that say, I watch it every week, and they're not here. So it's a courtesy to our citizens that they can see the whole thing from beginning to end and know exactly what goes on in our city. And like I said again, some people don't care. They don't watch it. But the ones who do care want to hear it.
Well, I don't know if we can sit here and count noses, but I've had a lot of people call me and say they don't want to hear it. Yeah.
Well, they don't
want to
have
hear
to
the
watch
public
it.
comment. They want to hear the business of the city, but they're not interested in the public comments side.
So, I heard that in the story.
Can I ask the city attorney a question? In light of the judge's ruling that we should vote on this matter in order to ratify the action, is the motion as worded, does that satisfy the judge's?
Yeah, I don't. The judge's order did not care whether you televise or you don't televise it. He just simply says that you must vote at a regular meeting if you wish to terminate the televising of the public commentary sessions.
Right, and so the motion was to go gavel to gavel.
Right.
Is it? I guess by that it infers that we're not televising the public comment.
Yes, sir.
And that means that we're not televising the Pledge of Allegiance or the prayer. And that's more inclusive than just the public comments. So we're opening up another can of worms right there. So we're eliminating the pledge, and we're eliminating.
Don't you hit the gavel before the pledge?
No, I don't. The gavel is the business section, so we're cutting out the Pledge of Allegiance and our prayer, plus the ability for people at home to hear either that or the comments.
To include the pledge.
Add an amendment.
I'd like to amend it, Mayor, that we add the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer to the meeting.
I have a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second.
Okay, I think I'm supposed to be doing that.
Sorry.
We have a motion to amend and a second, and the amendment was to allow the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, but eliminate the public comment section from television.
I didn't say that.
That was not the amendment.
Okay. She amended to put the prayer and the and the pledge,
correct,
but to
and conclude at the gaveling at the conclusion of the meeting.
Which means to not televise the public commentary.
But that wasn't my motion. You adding words to it.
This is an amendment only?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you repeat the amendment?
Would you state her amendment?
The motion that was on the floor that she has moved to amend was to have gavel-to-gavel coverage. The motion to amend is to include the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the televised portion. Was there a second?
Yeah, Pat, second.
Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
McCabe?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Foley?
Aye.
Carney?
Aye.
Amendment adopted.
The amendment is to allow the pledge and the prayer to be televised.
There you go, Mayor. You got it.
The motion on the floor now, as amended, would include televising the pledge and the prayer.
Yes.
Television up to the point of adjournment.
I have a question?
Yes, ma'am.
On the agenda item was on the public commentary. If we had recommendations to look at that section of our procedures, would that be appropriate to ask for it to be looked at consideration on our next agenda meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
To amend that resolution?
To amend section R of that of the procedural guidelines for the board meetings, which section R is the public commentary.
What would you like done with it?
To have a, I would move to add an additional.
There's a motion on the floor being discussed now.
Yeah, that's why I was asking what's the, since the category on the agenda item wasn't a motion, the category was the public commentary, and that's why I was asking the question, when is the how do you handle other items about it?
You can speak to the motion that's on the floor now if there are other issues. If you want to amend the motion, it's already been amended once. If you want to amend the motion, you can amend it. Otherwise, your discussion is confined to what's on the floor.
But I can offer another amendment?
Sure.
I would amend that the public commentary, a sentence be added at the end, that all comments shall be relevant to city business and within city jurisdiction.
Now, are you asking that a resolution be amended? If that's the case, we need to bring that back at another meeting.
Okay, that's why I'm asking what that would be.
If you're, her motion does not require the amendment of a resolution. Your discussion at your retreat did not require the amendment of a resolution. David Watkins' decision to carry out your directive did not require the amendment of a resolution. If you want to amend it, then we need to put that on a published agenda.
That's all I was asking.
Call for the question.
We have an amended. You want to state it as it's amended and say what we're voting on right now?
The motion on the floor to be voted on as amended is that there be television coverage of the board meetings, including the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer, concluding with the adjournment of the meeting.
Okay. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye.
Garcia.
No.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Carney.
No.
Ayes have it.
Okay.
No problem.
Well, that was a surprise. Better not miss a meeting. You might miss something important. The next item of business is consider ordinance number 01379. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to suspend the rules, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance 01379, an ordinance adopting the 2012 Standard Swimming Pool and Spa Code, repealing certain ordinances and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you now entertain a motion, a second to adopt, and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt? Is there a second? Okay. Would that be Ms. Selman?
Be Mike Scott.
Mike Scott,
Mike,
okay.
sorry.
That's a hard act to follow.
I'm telling you.
My name's Mike Scott. I'm the chief building official for the city of Hot Springs. Every 3 to 6 years, we adopt new codes and update them due to technology changes and safety concerns that have been brought up by other things, such as the swimming pool code. It hadn't been updated since 1991. ICC came out with a new version, and ICC is the International Code Council who develops all of our books. They came out with a new version in 2012. Of course, we just got it in 13. But it addresses several things. The biggest thing it addresses is spas, because back in 91, people really didn't put in-ground spas. They would just buy hot tubs and plug them in. That's a UL listed product, and therefore the codes only required for that product is where you plug it in, because everything inside that box is tested and approved by the UL listing. So nowadays you have people building in-ground swimming pools, and off to the side they will build a spa. You know, we're not talking about the spa like you go downtown in the federal district and go in that spa. That's not what this code book addresses. By the way, this is the whole code book. This is how big it is, pretty small. It addresses safety concerns with swimming pools and spas, such as protective fencing around it 4 foot high or higher, gates that close that are spring closure, so when you open it, they automatically close behind you. Swimming pools, there's more than 1 or 2 deaths a year from the suction in the bottom of the pool because they used to have a flat grate over that, and so kids would get stuck down there and they couldn't get loose. The code book addresses that now. It must be an arched type suction cup over that to where you can't get your whole body up against it, so therefore you can break yourself free. There's several things like that in the code book, and it also addresses spas the same way because they're all just safety things, and that safety things come about by somebody getting injured or hurt. And so that's why it's important that we update this code.
Wow. Does that have anything to do with existing ones, or like?
No,
if they're
and
not...
it doesn't. It doesn't have any. If your existing pool the way it is, you don't modify it, you don't change it, you don't work on it, then it stays the way it is. That's a good question. And then also, it doesn't address like healthcare facilities, such as, if you have somebody that is going through physical therapy and they get in a spa, it doesn't address that spa because that's a different kind of spa. Yeah.
Excuse me, Mike.
Yes, sir.
It does affect existing property owners with pools and spas if they break into the electrical grounding system. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Director Foley's correct. Let's say you have concrete around your pool or your spa, and it becomes deteriorated, and you choose to jackhammer all that out, and you choose to replace it. Well, once you expose an item, then yes, it does address that. We make sure that what we can see is up to code. We're not going to make you tear out the rest of your pool so we can see what you have. But as he was saying, underneath that concrete, there's steel, and it's all tied to the metal parts in your pool. And so therefore, we have to make sure that that's bonded correctly so that you don't get a little tingle shock in a swimming pool because the actual ground has an actual current in it. And if you don't bond all the metal parts, women and children tend to feel that tingle in the pool. For some reason, men don't. I guess we're thicker skinned. I don't know. But and that's happened in the past with a pool out in the county. The owner is somebody we all know. I won't say his name, but he had that problem. He built a pool, and he couldn't figure out why his wife and children kept complaining. And we actually have a device that goes out and we connect all the metal parts, and we can locate that problem. And we found out that his ladder had not been bonded. And so therefore and we stuck it to it and it had a charge to it. We stuck a metal rod in the ground. It was the exact same charge. So he wound up having to jackhammer up his concrete so he could connect a bonding wire to that so it wouldn't shock his kids anymore and his wife.
Wow.
Just as a follow-up to my last question, what you are doing is no different than what you would be doing under today's rules under the normal permitting process, right? So if they're going to tear up the pool, they'd have to get a permit anyway.
Correct.
And it would have to be re-inspected anyway.
That's right. And many of the rules with pools and spas really fall under the National Electric Code. These just have to do with, the construction of it, the fencing, the suction of it, the piping, and, a lot of the safety concerns that aren't addressed by the National Electric Code.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Good job, Mike.
No one signed up to talk about pools, so we will. Do you have any discussion? Any other questions? Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Foley?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
McCabe?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Carney?
Aye. Okay, it is adopted. Okay. We have the next item is the Board of Directors' comments. Do you have any comment? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to remind everyone that it is free parking at the parking garage downtown through January 2nd, and encourage you to visit downtown. And earlier in the meeting, our city manager recognized Minnie Lennox, sorry. And I also wanted to thank her for her chairmanship of REGARD, and that's respecting everyone's gifts and respecting diversity. And she's done an outstanding job in the community, and appreciate her work. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, she mentioned the downtown lights. You can drive through now and listen to the music on your car. I got an email. I can't tell you exactly, but turn your radio on and then you hear whatever music is playing downtown while you're looking at the lights.
Cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that I've never worked with Mr. Scott, but I have to tell you, I can't count the number of times I have received very complimentary comments about how well you have worked with individuals, whether in a new business or in the case of Emergent Arts, and we really appreciate that. Thank you. Everybody says you are just great to work with, and you bring advice as well as the code. So, secondly, I have problems with the way some of the things were handled about the commissions and committees, and I don't know what's happened, but I think we need to tighten up that process a little bit where there's better communication to the individuals that apply so that they can show up when they're supposed to, and there's certainly better communication between staff and the board as to recommendations prior to any vote, and that we solve some of these issues before they become a serious issue.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I would just like to thank the public who came out tonight for their public commentary on the annexation. The commentary was outstanding, in my opinion. It's not whether I agreed with it or not. It was well thought out. It was well presented, and I appreciate that kind of deliberate input into the board's business decisions. I just, even on the issues that we disagree upon, I appreciate the commentary from the public as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.